Just over 6 minutes gone. Second quarter, starting to get dark here at St. A's. Under center, Niagabo takes the snap, hands off to Velas, the tail. Is going to spin, going to shake a man off at the 40, lower the shoulder to the 35, and is taken down at about the East 34-yard line. Gain of 6 on the run. And now 3rd and 4 coming for the white jerseys. The West leading here 15-0.
Coach, and I think the other thing they can do here is maybe give Ivan a nice simple pass. Just see one completed. Just get that one out of the way because, as you know, the more you miss, the more pressure you put on yourself to hit the target. So I think Coach Jones could do him a favor and just give him a nice simple one.
Right now he's got him in a wishbone.
3 backs behind Iamagamo. The give is to Velas, straight up, and he may be short. Needed to get to the East 30. Tackled, I think, a good yard shy of that mark. And yes, sir, 4th down and 1 is on the way. A number of players in blue in on the stop, including Mike Murray out of St. Thomas, one of the linebackers.
Get ready, Nick, because I see the big lineman in Skinner from Milford. And again, the last 2 plays by the West, and again, I give a lot of credit to the West. They're mixing up formations, but last 2 plays, wishbone, power eye football. It looks like Law's in at quarterback.
Yeah, they got Law under center on 4th and 1, 3 backs behind him. Takes the snap, handoff is to the big fella Skinner. He's going to wrestle his way into the hole. Is he short? It's going to be tough to tell. It's Skinner's 2nd carry. He's got to be at least 275 pounds. And let's see, the officials are going to talk about the spot, and it looks like he is just shy. Yes, sir, the East with another 4th down stop. And they'll take over on downs, trailing 15-0 nearly midway through the second quarter.
And, Rich Flair has pointed out the last 3 East defensive possessions, they've turned the West away. And right there, kind of fun to let a lineman run the ball in an all-star game, no doubt about it. But when you got all kinds of talent that can run the football on your sideline, interesting call right there. But, again, it's a fun game. Lyman's had a couple of carries, but they come up short and have to turn the ball over.
So the East trailing 15-0, hoping to get the offense going, starting here at their own 30 and working left to right. McGinnis of Wyndham under center, takes the snap, pitch, near side taken by Mayweather, has room, 35-40, near sideline 41, spun down, he'll get the first down after a gain of 11. So Eric Fairweather was taking snaps at quarterback, has taken tosses from the tailback spot, moves the chains on first down to set up 1st and 10 for the East from their own 41-yard line.
Well, the East has run some nice plays running the football. Moving the ball hasn't been a real issue. It's been holding on to the football and not turning it over. But, again, they are very fortunate to only be down 15. A touchdown here cuts it in half, and they'd have to feel very good about that.
High formation on 1st and 10 from their own 41. McGinnis' handoff is taken left side by Perry, who turns the corner but doesn't get much. Lowers his shoulder down to about the 22-yard line.
Number 32, Jack Mahoney.
That's Jack Mahoney, I apologize.
Skinner on the stop.
Mahoney out of Alvern, his 2nd carry. 7 minutes to go, second quarter. 2nd down and 8 coming for the East.
And I agree, Rich, that they have moved the ball on the ground somewhat. Where I differ a little bit is that any kind of a penalty, obviously they fumbled 3 times, but any kind of a penalty when you're a running team really puts pressure.
2nd and 8 for the East. McGinnis. Counterplay, handoff, near side. There's a man, and there's some room at the 40, 35, down the sideline, 30, 25, 20. It's a foot race at the 15. Hit, ball is loose inside the 5. Recovered by the West at the 2-yard line. The East cannot catch a break. A big run through the big hole.
That was Kevin Moreau.
By Kevin Moreau was tackled from behind. He coughed it up. And then it was Tucker Burt out of Merrimack Valley who recovered just 2 yards shy of the end zone. Meanwhile, there's a player shaken up down on the sidelines. A player, it looks like for Team West, receiving attention at the 6. But that is now turnover number 5. Rich, and it's got to be a heartbreaker there for the East. We've seen now 4 fumbles lost and an interception, 5 turnovers in this first half.
Unbelievable. I mean, 5 turnovers in the first half. You're still only down 15-0. If the defense can come up with another stop here, they're going to get the ball back in decent field position, probably on this side of the 50. But I don't know what good field position does for you if you can't hang on to the football and prevent it from turning over again. That counter play there again, they pop it open. But great play by the defense to track him down and punch it out from behind.
Meanwhile, there's a timeout on the field. It comes with 6:30 to go until halftime. 15-0 West. Both touchdowns came in the first quarter. As the West jumped out in front, Niambiamgo to Zolch to Velas on a lateral from 15 yards out on fourth down. 2-point conversion from Law to Zolch, or Law to Teixeira, made it 8-0. Following another East turnover, Robbie Law from 23 yards out found his Concord teammate Zolch. Extra point kick was good, 15-0. And that is where we are now with 6.5 to go. Meanwhile, the shook-up player is okay. That was the West defensive back out of Nashua South, Jesse Kloss, who is walking off the field to the far sideline on his own power. All right, so pinned deep from his own 3-yard line is Robbie Law of the West. Under center, handoff is up the middle, a little bit of room at the 5, up to the 10, and tackled at about the 11. Goes the ball carrier. That's another fresh back, Justin Robinson out of Plymouth. With his first carry, found some wiggle room up the middle and took it for about 5 yards to set up 2nd and 5.
Yeah, it's a big gain right there for the West, getting out of the shadows of their own goalpost. But, Rich, you pointed it out, 5 East turnovers. However, if they can pin them down here and, even maybe only allow 1 first down and then punch one in before the half, they got to feel great about things.
Inside of 6 minutes, 2nd and 5 from their own 10. West right to left. Handoff again up the middle, hit at the line of scrimmage and dropped immediately. Was the fullback. That's Jack Cavallero of Hanover. And now a 3rd and 2 coming. So again, maybe the East can force a 3 and out. And force a punt and get some pretty good field position like you highlighted.
Sorry, Nick, I was just going to say, and remember, they were a hook and ladder away from getting off the field after the first turnover. So the defense has actually played really well, considering that their backs have been up against the wall the entire first half. And again, if it wasn't for the hook and ladder, they would have got out of there unscathed on the first drive.
Coming up on 5 minutes to go until halftime. 3rd and 2 for the West from their own 12. They're going to roll it out near side. Law throws over the top, but it's incomplete. Well, he threw it behind his intended target. Cavallero tried to spin and reel that one in on the near side. It was not going to happen. 4th down and 2, 5 minutes even remaining second quarter. So the East gets what they needed, and that was another defensive stop to force the punt.
Yeah, Robbie Law runs a counter bootleg pass. They leak the fullback into the left flat, just slightly overthrows him. And look at the East, they could be set up in shop inside, as Rich was saying, the 40-yard line of the West, if they can get some kind of return here.
Now let's see. Their punter on the field, and that is BG's Drew Sanborn from his own end zone. He's going to take this one, gets it off from the goal line. It's a good one. A spiraling kick. Goes past midfield. Fair catch called for at the East 47-yard line by Fairweather. So not quite gorgeous starting field position, but certainly doable near the 50-yard line.
Coach, I thought Fairweather had a little bit of room. I thought maybe a little bit of a premature fair catch call there.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. I don't think that there's any rules in the game around the kicking game in terms of you have to fair catch a punt. I mean, that's almost scrimmage-like. I think one of the features of the East-West game is that they don't put a limit on the number of formations, or they allow you to run a number of different defenses and allow a lot of blitzing. So it just, again, not very explosive there.
McGinnis left to right for the East at their own 48-yard line, 1st and 10. The handoff is up the middle and driven backwards at the line of scrimmage was the ball handler. That's Jack Mahoney.
And I think that would have been the perfect opportunity for a nice play-action pass. You've opened up every series with run. You have the good field position after the defense gets a stop. Why not play action? Let McGinnis try to chuck one down the field, which he's highly capable of.
I couldn't agree more.
2nd down and 7 after the 3-yard pickup. The East officially now in West territory at the 49-yard line. I formation under center. McGinnis hands to Jocular, who is wrapped up in the hole and spun down on the left side after about a yard gain. Meanwhile, pushing and shoving, and now flags fly after the play. Well, the officials quickly separated what was a mini scuffle following the play at about midfield, and now Steve Hall's crew going to talk it over. And this one going to go against the East. So that's not an easy one to swallow there by the East head coach Craig Cousins of Laconia.
And it goes back to my point. Like right now, they're a running football team. They're not mixing it up. They're not very balanced. And they're going to have to incur a 15-yard penalty and go back towards inside their own 40-yard line and be faced with third and forever. And again, that's an obvious pass situation. Maybe a screen pass. Maybe we'll see. I don't think it's a good time for a trick play, but maybe a little screen right here. Haven't seen anything of that nature out of McGinnis and this East offense.
Maybe a little frustration there, guys, with the East having all their turnovers, run, and maybe a little bit of frustration let out on the personal foul.
Yeah, there's been 5 giveaways by the East in this first half. They trail 15-0 and now are facing a third down and what looks like 17. Make it 3rd and 20 from their own 37. Back to throw, McGinnis. Pocket collapsing, pressure from Glassman. He sheds Glassman. He rolls far side. Now he's going to throw down the field, and this one is incomplete. Intended deep down the sideline, but thrown over the head of the intended target, Loden Formicelli. So a disastrous drive there for the East is going to result in a punt here on 4th and 20. We're down to 3:40 to go until halftime. The West leads the East 15-0.
3rd and 17. Everybody in the stadium knows you got to chuck the football. The defense pins their ears back. They're all over Brendan McGinnis. He did all he could just to get it off.
Mike Valis back deep for the West, standing at his own 19-yard line. Mike Ryan of Londonderry getting set to punt for the East from his own 25. This one barely gotten off. Floating down the middle of the field. Fair catch called for and made at the 29-yard line by Valis. And that is where the West will take over. It was Valis who scored the first touchdown of the game. And, of course, it was his father who started the CHaD All-Star football game back in 2011. The game now in its 4th year. They've raised nearly $1 million, including $250,000 this year for CHaD. That's the Children's Hospital at Dartmouth, helping kids fight cancer. And, again, I can't wait to see the number at the gate when it's released, because this has got to be close to a sellout here tonight under the lights at St. Anselm. Meanwhile, Ivan the Great back at quarterback. Niamamo takes the snap, rolls to the right, has a man, incomplete. Zolch turned his head and dropped it along the far sideline at the 40, 2nd and 10 coming.
Well, that's got to be frustrating for Ivan, Coach, because we just highlighted a nice easy pass, and Coach Jones did it. He drew it up, a nice one out there, and Zolch couldn't quite come up with it, and the struggles continue for Ivan.
Yeah, they played to a strength right there. They sprinted him out, but again, along the sideline, a little comeback route, perfect pitch and catch. He had a lot of zip on that ball. Best throw of the game for him.
Niamagabo back on 2nd and 10 in the shotgun. Pocket collapsing, rolling near side, wrapped up, spun down for a loss. It's a sack at the East 24-yard line. The defensive lineman, Jacob Cameron, in there from Kennett. They had a great year, Coach.
Yeah, a real great bounce-back year for the Kennett Eagles. They're real proud of that program. They made a lot of noise in Division II.
15-0 is the West lead, as we're now inside of 3 minutes to play until halftime. The West deep in their own territory on 3rd and 14, stuck inside their own 25. Yamagabo takes the snap of the shotgun, rolls to the right, looking, throwing on the run, incomplete. Throw it over the head of Zolch. Although that may have been catchable. And instead, 4th and long, and the West going to have to punt.
Yeah, Zolch found a little hole in the zone right there. Would have been good enough for first down yardage. I thought Ivan Niamagabo threw a dart out there. It was a little bit high, but usually Zolch goes up and comes down with that ball. A couple of nice throws on that series. And, Rich, like you said, maybe that gets his feet wet a little bit. I know they weren't completions. Right now, unfortunately, for our All-Star game, both offenses are in not neutral. They're actually going a little bit backwards.
Yeah, the defenses have reigned supreme here. 2 early touchdowns from the West gave them the 15-0 lead in the first quarter. The East has turned it over 5 times, and the West has not been able to do much since that second touchdown. Meanwhile, the kick is off, and it's going to float deep down the field, near side, going to land at the 20, going to take a roll inside the 10, all the way down inside the 5 and down at the 1.
Guys,
wow.
Was that Tyler Ford from Souhegan, or was that Drew Sanborn from Bishop Girton? I think it's Drew Sanborn, a kid that may be going to college to be a punter. That was fabulous.
Sanborn let that one rip And it's officially down at the 1 yard line. That's one of the best punts I think I've ever seen.
And that's a big turnaround right there. Instead of getting the ball around the 30, 35, they get it all the way back at the 1 with only 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in the first half. That's a big play.
Yeah, and the East needs to be careful here, guys, I think, right, with the 5 turnovers backed up now at their own 1.
It changes everything from being at the 35 and now the 1. Now they're going to obviously go back to the old fullback dive, I'm sure.
Meanwhile, Eric Glassman, the big defensive end from Bedford, trying to fire up this West defense. As they face the East, they've got the East pinned near their own goal line. I formation, McGinnis at quarterback for the East from his own 1, left to right. I formation behind him. 4-man front for the West. McGinnis takes the snap, an immediate dive to the fullback, going to give them a little breathing room. Out past the 3, maybe to the 4 goes Jolliker, who has played well in this first half for the East. As we near 2 minutes to go, gain of about 4 on the play. They'll mark it at the 5. So we'll call it 2nd and 6 coming up from their own 5.
Yeah, I think, Nick, at this point, the East is looking to churn out a couple of first downs on the ground and get into halftime only trailing by 2 scores. And obviously the West, look for them to call a timeout if they come up with a stop here.
All right, the West going to blitz off the edge. Handoff taken by Fairweather. Spins at the 5, up to the 10. Still alive and finally wrestled down at about the 15, maybe the 16 there. An 11-yard carry for the Londonderry Lancer. And that brings up a fresh set of downs. 1st and 10 coming from the East 16-yard line. It is 15-0 West on the scoreboard.
Great effort there by Fairweather. 2nd, 3rd effort, churning the legs, keeping them pumping, keeping them moving. Picks up the first down.
The East in their blue jerseys under the lights here as it grows dark in Manchester. Going to play out the final minute 20. 1st down and 10. Left to right, McGinnis, handoff, left side, nowhere to go. And drop maybe for a yard loss. Jack Mahoney out of Alvern trying to run the big 220-pound back. But to no avail. Maybe a yard on the play. 2nd and 9 coming as we near a minute to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, a little surprised that Coach Jones right then at the tackle didn't call a timeout. Maybe he's content with a 15-0 halftime lead. Chance to get his defense off the field and his offense on the field, but clock continues to tick away.
Be interesting to see if he calls a timeout here, if they can prevent the first down on 2nd and 9. McGinnis from his own 16-yard line, far hash. Little pitch left side, Fairweather. Now he's going to stutter, and he looks like he's going to throw. From his own 10, looking down the field, but now running out of time, throws it down the sidelines. Underhanded, it drops incomplete in front of the east sideline at the 30. And, well, no need to call a timeout now if you're Coach Jones. The clock stops with 29 seconds remaining. Rich, 3rd down and 9 coming. The West hoping for a stop and then potential punt and good field position.
Great coverage right there from the West defensive backfield. Great discipline, too, Coach. Not coming up when Fairweather started to scramble. They stayed home, stayed on their man, and Fairweather unable to find anyone down the field.
I believe it was designed halfback option pass right from the jump. And like you said, tremendous discipline by the West defense.
Formicelli wide to the east on 3rd and 9. I formation. McGinnis, the quarterback, takes the handoff. Counterplay. Handoff left side, but nowhere to go. Wrapped up and brought down at the 20. And apparently pushed out of bounds goes Matthias. So 19 seconds. Clock's ticking for the moment down to 16. Now they blow it dead. And let's see. I believe that's a timeout by the West. If so, it's their second charged timeout of this first half.
See if Coach Jones can't get a couple of seconds tacked on, because he was calling for the timeout right away, and it probably should have been stopped around 2021.
See if Coach Jones right now elects to go for a punt block or sets up a return for the ever-explosive and elusive Michael Bayless.
Well, for now, there's 16 seconds still on the scoreboard. 15-0 is the West lead. Coming up, we'll talk with Laura DeCoster of the Safe Sports Network. Going to be paired back up with us for the upcoming season of Friday Night Lights here on ESPN New Hampshire Radio. We'll also revisit the first 2 quarters here tonight. A lot to talk about. 5 turnovers for the East. Sure, a lot to talk about there with Coach Cousins and his coaching staff. And let's see what happens here. The final 16 seconds of this first half. Punt coming on 4th down and 7. Ryan handles inside his own 10. He's going to swing his right leg, gets it off down the far sideline, takes a bounce at the 45, going to roll at midfield into West territory at the 48. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, finally blown dead with 2 seconds on the clock. And what will we see here? A heave into the end zone or perhaps a quarterback take a knee? What do you guys think?
Chuck it.
Yeah.
Why not?
I knew you would say that.
You know what? Rich would say chuck it. And
what do you got to lose?
I would say absolutely chuck it. And what I know about Coach Jones is I think he might, he's an unbelievably classy guy. He may just put his knee down right here and say, we played a great first half of defense, had a couple of good scoring drives, but could be wrong. Let's see what happens. This will be interesting right here.
Well, Robbie Law is on the field, and he's in a shotgun formation with 4 wide receivers on the field, 2 to each side. So it looks like they are going to try a Hail Mary pass from their own 48-yard line, leading 15-0 with 2 seconds left. Takes the catch. Quick throw. Caught by Teixeira. Pitched left side to the slot man who's going to be tackled from behind, and that is going to do it. A quick catch and a quick lateral to Ryan Berry of Merrimack will conclude things for the first half. A good half for the 3-time defending champions, the West All-Stars, leading 15-0 over their counterparts from the East. After 30 minutes of play under the lights here at Crappone Stadium, 5 turnovers have haunted the boys in blue. The West, they'll take that 15-0 lead, but they've got some problems on the offensive side as well.
Yeah, they need to certainly clean it up. 5 turnovers, a couple of penalties, a personal foul. Really an inexcusable first half from the offense of Team East. Thankfully for them, their defense has brought it and has kept them in the game. And if I'm Jason Hanson and some of those guys on the defensive side of the football, I'm going in there and I'm lighting my offense up and telling them to clean up their act. And if I'm the offense, I'm probably going to head coach, Coach Cousins, and saying, hey, let us chuck it around a little bit. Let us open it up, the playbook. What do we got to lose down 15?
And I agree, Nick, that the West started off explosive. They started this football game with a double reverse flea flicker for a big play and big gain, and they ended the half with a trick play. But everything sort of in the middle has been a little bit in neutral right now. I don't think they're very pleased with their second quarter offensive performance. However, both teams need to feel pretty good about how their defenses have played and responded.
Well, the Spirit teams are on the field. The halftime entertainment is being rolled out. And we've got ourselves a 2-score ball game on the scoreboard. 15-0 West. Coming up, we'll revisit the first half, take a look at the stats, and recap the scoring. We'll also visit with Laura DeCoster of the Safe Sports Network. That is next. 15-0 West at halftime. You're listening.
Local sports talk for the New Hampshire sports fan. You're listening to ESPN New Hampshire.
Well, it is halftime here in Manchester. 15-0 is the West lead in this 4th annual CHaD New Hampshire East-West High School All-Star Game. We will recap the first 2 quarters, get you some official statistics in just a moment. But first, let's welcome in both Laura DeCoster and Amy Hollingworth of the Safe Sports Network. You guys have the best seat in the house down there at midfield. A little different up here in the booth, huh? Well, I'm sorry, I got your mics down. Go ahead.
It's completely different up here. It's warmer.
A little different view, too. The Safe Sport Network, big sponsors of this event. You guys are pretty much everywhere at this point, at least in southern New Hampshire, at the high school level. But things are starting to become more involved at the youth level. You guys are, your organizations have spread now into a couple of different communities. We'll start with Laura. Tell me a little bit about some of the plans, not necessarily at the high school level, but at the youth level moving forward.
Yeah, so we've been working in the high school level for a couple of decades now, and about 5 years ago we moved on down to try to offer some services for the youth, sort of skipping over the middle school. And so this year that's an area of focus for us, is to get at least some infrastructure, safety infrastructure into the middle schools. And we're very fortunate to get some great funding from the Cogswell Benevolent Trust and Benson Family Trust, Staples, and some others to help fund what we need to get in to make sure that the middle school sports programs at the 8 middle schools that we're targeting that are just right in our area have appropriate emergency action plans, and their coaches have, CPR and first aid training and that sort of thing, just so they have the basics in place.
And I would suppose a lot of people just kind of take that for granted, right, Amy? I mean, some parents would maybe just expect that their kid would be taken care of, that their team would have a trainer, but that's clearly not the case. And thanks to your organization in particular, some of the things that are taken for granted are available to some of the youth athletes, right?
Absolutely. Drum Major Emily Dawson is your core ready.
I think sometimes, parents just assume when they drop off their kids that there's somebody there to make sure that they're going to be safe.
Yeah.
And they don't really think about it, and oftentimes that's not the case. So we're really trying to provide, that sort of care, and if we can't be there, to have a good infrastructure in place so that somebody knows what to do if something happens.
Is it just as likely to see an injury at the middle school level as at the high school level? Are there major differences or more similarities?
That is a great question. And the truthful answer is we don't know. Across the country, middle school is a black box. People are working with youth across the country, and people are working with high schools across the country, but really
why is that? Is this a middle child syndrome?
I think so. Best? Yeah, they're just, quiet. They get along with everybody, and so, they're not the squeaky wheel. We do know from national, say, emergency department data that there are 3 million sports injuries that go to the emergency department every year, and 40% of them are between 5 and 14 years old. So those kids are definitely getting hurt.
Yeah.
But as to whether, in the day in and day out, whether it would look the same as the high school, we don't know.
15-0 our score here at halftime. Again, we're talking with the Safe Sports Network's Laura DaCosta and Amy Hollingworth. What about this fall? I mean, you guys have been entrenched, as we talked about, with the high schools and now with the middle schools as well. You offer a wide range of services. Anything in particular you'd like to stress now that might be either new or you're putting more emphasis on for the upcoming school campaign, the upcoming calendar?
Well, we're really trying to get out there and teach, certify CPR and first aid in as many coaches as possible, and we put together a CPR and first aid course for coaches that we're going to be holding on Tuesday, August 4th from 1 to 5, and so if anybody's interested in that, they can contact me, amy@nhmi.net, and I can sign them up for the class.
And that's not strenuous or stressful, right? Some people hear the word CPR and may get a little intimidated, but it's a few hours, right? Or how does that work?
Absolutely. So it's about 4 hours or so to learn everything, CPR and first aid together, and it's that long so it can be in a nice non-pressure environment so people can practice and get a good feel for what to do. And really what it is people just get having information, knowing what to do will keep them from freezing. There's some very, very basic things that can be done that can make the difference between, a kid surviving an event and not. So we're just trying to, put that information out there, and, so the more people that know it, the more people that can work together in an emergency situation.
And, of course, Laura, you were there at the ground level at the start of everything. What kind of growth have you seen with the Safe Sports Network? And obviously I'd assume you continue to see the growth here coming up, right?
Absolutely. 26 years ago, Safe Sports Network started with free sports physicals and a centralized drop-in clinic. We still run that drop-in clinic, but in addition to that, we've got athletic trainers on site every day after school at 8 high schools. And now this next year with that grant funding, we're going to not necessarily have somebody every day after school for those middle school kids, but we're going to start working with the people at the school to make sure that, those emergency plans, education, the concussion policies, all those things are in place.
Anything else you guys want to, in particular, highlight here? You mentioned the CPR clinic coming up on August the 4th from 1 to 5 p.m. That's a start, but any other information you'd like to pass along to the listeners?
I think I would just emphasize that the free injury drop-in clinic is there and available to any youth athlete to come in, and we have shorter hours in the summer. We're open 3 to 4 or by appointment. But once things get rolling in August and school starts again, we're open pretty much 3 to 6 every day, and it's a great service. And anybody, like I said, any youth athlete can come down with any injury they have, from concussion to ankle sprain, and see a certified athletic trainer, be evaluated, be given a home exercise program, referral, whatever needs to be done, and it's free of charge. So, we just want people to know it's there so they can utilize it.
In the fall, we're going to add some Saturday morning hours to that drop-in clinic as well. Busy season in the fall, Friday night football games. We're thinking maybe kids may need something Saturday, so we're going to try that as well. So
no excuse.
No excuse.
Right? No excuse for the listeners not to get in there and get some top-rated care for sure, especially with the big fall season coming up. Is that the biggest season for youth athletics? I would assume so, right?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say it's our busiest season.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. And you said top-notch service, and Amy and I are always trying to stay ahead of the curve. We actually flew back from St. Louis just this morning out at a national meeting, getting the updates on what's the best way to care for potentially cervically spine injured athlete on the field. All those sorts of things, and managing concussions, and we're able to come back and keep the staff up to the cutting edge of how we should be taking care of the kids.
Important stuff for sure.
For sure.
How can listeners find out more information online?
Our webpage is www.nhmi.net. That might be hard to remember. So we own all the Safe Sports Network domains also. SafeSportsNetwork.com, net, org, the whole 9 yards.
There you go.
So whatever occurs to you.
No excuse.
That's right.
All right. We appreciate you guys stopping by the booth. I know you've been busy, and let's hope for a safe second half to this football game tonight.
Hear, hear.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, you
Nick.
guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Right.
That's, again, Laura DeCoster and Amy Hollingworth of the Safe Sports Network. We've got a 15-0 ball game here in the CHaD East-West All-Star Game. The West out in front, 15-0. When we come back, we'll tell you how it happened, and we'll preview the second half as well. You're listening to coverage of the CHaD football game right here on ESPN New Hampshire, online at ESPNNHradio.com.
Is a sports injury keeping you out of your favorite?
This is the flagship station for the Manchester Monarchs and the UMass Lowell Riverhawks. You're listening to ESPN New Hampshire.
15-0 the West in front here at the 4th annual CHaD East-West High School All-Star Game. Nick Anastas along with Coach Bellevue and Rich Flera. We'll recap the action in just a moment, but let's keep the interviews going. Let's bring in Ben Hall, the event and brand coordinator, jumping on with us for CHaD. And I got to assume, based on this crowd, that this is one of the more successful games we've seen, right? It's got to be near a sellout.
This night is fantastic so far. Yeah, we're at just under 2,000 attendees right now.
Wow.
So we're pretty psyched with that. Really, you can't ask for a better night right now. I mean, this is fantastic. This is a great night for New Hampshire football.
Yeah, I thought earlier in the week it might rain, but Mother Nature has cooperated so far.
She is shining brightly on the CHaD kids tonight.
Well, let's talk about the CHaD kids, because they're, of course, the big winners in this one. For those who don't know, the players and the cheerleaders really raise the money, right, that goes to fight cancer at the Children's Hospital at Dartmouth. Brendan McGinnis has really been the man, so to speak. He's the top fundraiser. The Wyndham quarterback has been big, and every year it seems like about $250,000 is raised. I mean, that obviously goes a very long way, right?
Yeah, to your point, the players, the cheerleaders, they themselves go out into the community. It's not required of them, but they go out and they raise this year almost $50,000. You mentioned Brendan McKinnis. He's raised almost $5,000 himself. I mean, these kids go out and they really they go beyond the field. And they take it out there, and they go into their communities, and they're fundraising for the kids at CHaD. They come up to CHaD, they meet all the kids, they get a tour of the facility, they really know firsthand what is going on there. And so they bring it out into their communities, and they bring CHaD alive, and they're able to get their neighborhood to support them and to back them, not only as a player, But as a member of the community that supports CHaD, it's fantastic.
And of course, philanthropy, teaching philanthropy is really the big thing with I know Nick Valis, the founder of the game. He wants to teach the student athletes how to give back.
Yes.
And of course that can go a long way, learning those kind of skills as young adults to translate into adulthood.
That's absolutely correct, and that's the heart of this game, and that's exactly what Nick Valis wanted to do when he founded this game. And the players every single year, the players, the cheerleaders, they really kind of hone in on it, and they realize that they do have these God-given talents, and they know that they can do some good with them, not just on a playing field, but out in their community, and that's great. I mean, it's great to see them to really just kind of take it to heart and make it work.
Again, we're talking with Ben Hall of CHaD. What is your role exactly?
So I am the event brand and marketing manager for the Children's Hospital at Dartmouth-Hitchcock, and so I help with all the various events that we put on, including the football game here tonight and some of the other events that we do in the southern part of New Hampshire and the northern part of New Hampshire.
Good stuff. Any predictions here on the second half?
I think we'll see East come back.
Uh-oh.
I think they're going to come out with a little bit of fire out of the locker room.
Okay.
I hope so.
I hope you're right as well. We'll keep our fingers crossed for a close one. We appreciate you dropping by the booth.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
doing this for us.
That's Ben Hall, again, the event brand and marketing manager with CHaD. Second half coming up. When we come back, we'll recap the first half. 15-0 West on the scoreboard. We're brought to you tonight by the Bedford and Nashua Surgical Centers. Check out the free imaging options, or the new imaging options, at bedfordsurgical.com, at baskimaging.com as well. Halftime coverage resumes next. You're listening to the 4th annual CHaD New Hampshire East-West All-Star Football Game right here on ESPN New Hampshire, online at ESPN NH Radio. Start of the second half here in Manchester. The 4th annual CHaD New Hampshire East-West High School All-Star Football Game on ESPN New Hampshire, powered by the Bedford and Nashua Ambulatory Surgical Centers. New high-quality imaging available. Find out more information at bedfordsurgical.com and baskimaging.com. Nick and Astis, Coach Mike Bellevue, Rich Flera in the booth. 15-0 West in the lead. The East has never won this game. 0 for 3 and shut out in that first half. 5 turnovers, Coach, is the big story. Sorry about that.
No problem. No doubt that was the big story. The 5th turnover, however, was the biggest one. The running back had broken through on a wingback counter and got tackled from behind around the 2-yard line, fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line going in. Had they scored right there, it's a one-score game. Even though they didn't score, they put it on their defense to stuff the West, which they did, force a punt. However, it was a heck of a good punt by the West Drew Sanborn. And once again, the East offense with good field position around midfield kind of found their way going backwards, and that really hurt them because they could, even though they've turned the ball over 5 times and committed several big penalties, a hold, a personal foul, they could be even closer in this game than 15-0 down.
Yeah, yardage, Rich, was about even. The West ran 34 plays for 189 yards. The East ran 36 plays for 185 yards. So just a 4-yard difference and 2 snaps separating the two teams in that first half.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can point to the obvious, the 5 turnovers. That's what stands out the most. But to Coach's point before, the other thing that stands out, 1 completion for Team East. That was Eric Fairweather. Brandon McInnes has only thrown 1 pass. And again, to echo a point that we both made in that first half, this is a kid who had 5 touchdown passes in the D2 state championship. He could sling it around the yard. I'd love to see Coach Cousins open it up here.
Start of the second half, the East will kick right to left. The West will work left to right. Nick Bayless, his son, Mike Bayless. The Bedford Star is back at his own 5-yard line. Kick is off, end over end. Second half underway. West leading 15-0. Bayless takes it at the 10. Going towards the far side. Stiff arm at the 12. Pushed out at the 15 by Jokeler. And that is where the West will start. Not great starting field position, but with a 15-0 lead, the offense will take it.
Yeah, right there, Mikey Vallis had an opportunity to return that up the middle. However, a couple of East defenders, nuts on special team, came flying through unblocked and forced them to bounce it outside, and there was just nothing there.
So we'll see what they come out with. I expect them to come out with some fireworks here at the start of the half like they did to start the game with the trick play.
Robbie Law will start the series at quarterback. He's got 4 receivers, 3 to the near side right. He takes the snap. He fakes the handoff. He rolls left. He's up past the 20. He's spun out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. Looks like a gain of 5 there.
They open up with the trips to the near side here. They fake the handoff to the running back, and then Robbie boots out. But like I thought, they start the half, coach, with an open formation. It looks like they're certainly going to spread it out and start opening things up here.
Yeah, I agree. A little zone read right there, and Robbie Law read that the crash of the defensive end and pulled it for a nice gain of 5 yards.
Same formation.
Yep, 3 to the near side right. Law in the shotgun with a man to his left. 2nd down and 5 from his own 22. The East with a 4-man front. The snap is taken. Again, a fake handoff, and again, Law will keep it himself, but not much this time. Maybe a yard to the left side. 3rd and 4 on the way.
Number 87, Neil Forster on the stop.
Neil Forster with the tackle. Sorry, Coach.
Yeah, excuse me, Nick. Robbie Law was the most consistent thrower, although there wasn't many balls put in the air in the first half. He was 4 out of 6 for 87 yards and a touchdown. Certainly looked good when he was given a whole series to direct this offense. And it appears right now he's going to get this series right here. Let's see what he does with it. This is a not critical, but it's a big 3rd down and 5 to try and move the chains and keep the drive alive.
Meanwhile, play is stopped for the moment. 30 seconds into this 3rd quarter, there's a player down and shaken up at about the 20-yard line. It's a player in white. That means he plays for the West. Full dark here at St. Anselm College in Manchester. We're under the lights for the first time in the CHaD series. It's the 4th annual game. And you got to like it, Rich. It's got kind of that big-time feel to it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. With Under the Lights, change of the format from last year where it was 1 o'clock, a sticky day, hot. And this is beautiful football weather. It's about 50, 60, crisp in the air. Lights are on. It looks like football, Coach.
Looks like football. Feels like football. This is an awesome crowd here. I know that the representatives from the CHaD that were up in the booth during halftime couldn't be more pleased with the turnout, and couldn't be more pleased as well with the effort on the part of the players to fundraise, in some cases, over $5,000 per player. It was unbelievable.
And, of course, all the players today playing for our Bugaboo Creek Player of the Game. Bugaboo Creek, where your flavorful journey begins. Go enjoy the taste of the Rockies in a lodge-like atmosphere. And on July 15th, you can join ESPN New Hampshire's Arcan and Shepherd at the Nashua location on 16 Gusabel Avenue, located right in the Nashua Mall from 12 to 3 p.m. Come by for some great giveaways. And while you're there, enjoy some fantastic food. Again, Bugaboo Creek, the taste of the Rockies, where your flavorful journey begins.
Well, the injured player is now being helped off the field, heading towards the far sideline. The west sideline is one of the offensive linemen from Milford. Coach Jones seeing Travis Hughes. Travis Hughes from Milford. Going to have to take a knee over there as they continue to check him out. Meanwhile, 3rd and 4 for the West from their own 23-yard line, leading 15-0. Law takes the snap. Rolls to the near side, throws down the field, incomplete. Threw it at the feet of his intended target. A tough throw across the body that ends up short. The incompletion brings up 4th down. Zach Whalen from Newport, the intended target. So a minute gone in this 3rd quarter, and it looks like a 3-and-out for the West.
Yeah, and the East did exactly what they wanted to do. They forced a 3-and-out. They should get great field position. Now a little bootleg pass again with the fullback leaking in the flat and the tight end running a crossing route. Nothing really open right there for Robbie Law.
Again, the 2 stars for Londonderry back deep. That's Fairweather and Ryan at their own 35-yard line. Meanwhile, upon the snap here, on 4th and 4, whistles blow, flags fly, and let's see what this is about. Again, our referee, longtime New Hampshire vet Steve Hall.
Offense. 5 yards.
So false start turns a 4th and 4 into a 4th and 9.
So, man, Steve announces the false start. This is where Sanborn hit the bomb before Same exact spot, the 20-yard line, and he put it all the way to the 1.
He had nearly a 75-yard punt in that first half. So Bishop Gertens, big-legged stud. Drew Sanborn gets this one off. Not as deep. It'll take a bounce at midfield and land out of bounds on the far side. Just shy of the 50, actually, at the West 48-yard line. So the East will come on with good field position in West territory, trying to get on the board. Still trailing 15-0 a minute into the second half.
And we'll look, to see if Coach Cousins and his coaching staff for the East made any adjustments at halftime. I see a little bit more life, a little bit more pep on the East sideline. They have unbelievable field position right here. They need to do something with it.
High formation with the Wyndham signal caller under center. That's quarterback Brendan McGinnis. Takes the snap. Handoff up the middle. Fairweather has some room. Explodes past the 40 down to the West 35-yard line. Gain of 13 on the scamper. Finally, the safety able to drag him down. James Wilaziko out of Plymouth wrestled him to the turf at the 35-yard line. So the East, with one of their bigger runs on the first play of the drive, sets up another 1st and 10.
And that's now near 200 yards on the ground for Team East. Guys, if you look at the stats, the East actually has more first downs, more total yards, and almost 2-1 in rushing yards, yet down in the score 15-0 because of the 5 turnovers.
1st and 10, handoff left side, Fairweather. Room again off left tackle, but this time is wrestled down 2 yards downfield as the stop was applied by Jack Cavallero, who has played pretty well at the outside linebacker spot out of Hanover. Gain of 3, 2nd and 7 officially coming.
Yeah, he's been all over the field defensively for the West, as has a name we haven't called all night, but Sammy Gelada, the Memorial Crusaders, the lone Crusader representing his high school, done a nice job at 6 tackles in the first half.
Memorial, of course, had a great year at the Division I level, an above 500 campaign. All right, handoff up the middle. Jokelar finds a hole, spins his way down the 25-yard line, and that is also close to another first down. Maybe not quite enough. They're going to rule him just shy. 3rd and 1 coming after the 6-yard pickup.
And Rich Flera pointed it out. Right now, the East squad, in terms of rushing offense, is somewhere around the 200-yard point.
Yeah, they're going to keep pounding it. It's been the style so far for Coach Cousins of Laconia, the head coach of the East. Their trail, though, 15-0 on 3rd and 1 from the West 25. The give is taken left side, off the edge, 1st down. Leaning his way down to the 21, maybe the 20. Went the East ball carrier. That's Jack Mahoney out of Alvern, who has quietly put together a solid game as well.
It surprises me, Coach. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Laconia and Coach Cousins run a bit of a spread offense, so a little surprising that they haven't opened it up. But, hey, when you got over 200 yards on the ground, I guess you just got to hang on to the football.
Clock running, 3 minutes in, 3rd quarter. West trying to protect their 15-0 lead, but here comes the East from the 20-yard line. Hand off on 1st and 10, left side taken, tackle broken at the 10, down to the 5, and near the goal line goes the ball carrier. Stopped just shy of the goal line. Nate Arnold out of Kennett, representing from north of the wall, setting up a 1st and goal from the 2.
That's a couple of tough runs by 27 Arnold out of Kennett. And he's really looked good in his limited opportunities. And he's right now sitting as the I tailback.
Ball just outside the 2-yard line. The East wants to get on the board. They trail 15-0 I formation. Double tight end set. Handoff left side. Arnold takes it down to the 1. Is he in? No, just shy. Trying to stretch the ball over the plane there, leading with his left shoulder. But came up just shy. Tackle was made by the defensive lineman Nick Skinner out of Milford.
What do you think here, Coach? Quarterback sneak? Just let the big old quarterback McGinnis just get it in there?
I agree with that call, Rich, all the way. He's a big, rugged-looking kid. Don't risk any kind of a fumbled handoff or anything like that. Just drive it in over your center.
5 down lineman for the West on 2nd and goal. Touchdown, the East on the board. You guys called it. A quarterback keeper, Brendan McGinnis, from a yard out, the Wyndham Jaguar gets his club on the board. It's now 15-6. It comes with 4 minutes gone in this 3rd quarter.
Well, you already got 4 fumbles. Why chance when you're on the doorstep to get on the board. Just give it to Brandon McGinnis. He is not a little guy. He's about 6'3", 210 pounds, so let him pound it in there.
Well, just like they probably drew out at halftime. A good long kickoff, stop that explosive kick returner, force a 3-and-out, get the short field, and do what they do, run the ball.
Peter Sear from Pinkerton for the point after. This one is a boot. Splits the uprights. A booming kick is good. 15-7. The East gets themselves on the board. A 48-yard drive. Capped off by the 1-yard touchdown plunge from the quarterback, Brendan McGinnis. So here we are at now 15-7. We've got a 1-score difference. The East defense, after falling down 15-0, really minutes into the ball game, has shut out the West since. They've given their offense numerous opportunities. That time, the ground game clicking as they punch it in to cap off the 48-yard drive.
If you take away the opening play, which was a spread formation, double reverse flea flicker to a wide open receiver, which a lot of defense don't expect a team to do that on an opening play, and then a old-fashioned Sauhegan Sabre style hook and ladder, because we ran that quite a bit when I was a young coach and couldn't get anything going offensively, absolutely nothing. So we relied on the old hook and ladder just to get the crowd to get into it a little bit.
Hey, they ran
you
it
take
to
those
perfection.
2 plays away, right, Rich? You take those 2 plays away, and the West doesn't have a lot to show for it offensively.
Well, not only that, but you take those 2 plays away and you clean up the turnovers. If you have half the turnovers they had, this could be a completely different game. As we said, very fortunate they went in the locker room down 15-0. Now it's 15-7 and a whole new ball game.
Sears' kick is going to take a bounce at the 15, scooped up at the 6 by Bayless. Left to right, near side. 15, driven back at the 13. Big play by the East. The bench explodes. The East fans enjoying it as well. Just over 4 minutes gone, third quarter, 15-7. The West now. A little bit of pressure on their shoulders to respond here.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree, Nick. We'll see who comes out at quarterback, whether it be Robbie Law or Ivan Neo-Mugabo. But it's imperative right now that the West get a little bit of rhythm going offensively, because it is Ivan the Great. Let's see if he can get something going. He's under center.
Neo-Mugabo just 2 for 9 in that first half, 44 yards and a touchdown. Going to go left side here on 1st and 10. The handoff will move the ball past the 20.
Number 23, Kelvin Rivera.
As Bishop Girton's Kelvin Rivera gains about 5 on first down, 2nd and 5 coming.
Yeah, that was a really nice crack block right there by the big split end to Scherer out of Goffstown. He really let the outside linebacker know that he was in a ball game tonight.
Well, the West going to break the huddle. 2nd and 5 coming from their own 21-yard line. 2 wide receivers to the near side right. That's the strong side. They'll put a man in motion. Meanwhile, Neo-Mugabo stumbled after takes the snap. Did get the handoff off, but no play there. No gain anyway. Left side, it was blown up. The East with one of their defensive backs shooting up into the backfield. Peter Sear in on the play as well.
Peter Sear is an unheralded player for Pinkerton this last season. Part of their state championship title team. TJ Urbanek got a lot of the headlines. But if you ask Coach Brian O'Reilly, one of the best players on his team was Peter Sear.
Meanwhile, it's starting to sprinkle. We expected maybe some rain at some point. Starting to drizzle a little bit here as we move past 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Meanwhile, whistle here and a timeout prior to the snap was called by the East. First called timeout either way in this second half. It comes with 5.5 gone in the third quarter. 15-7, the West in front. But a big play coming 3rd and 8 from their own 19. The West kind of stuck in the mud since scoring 2 first-quarter touchdowns. The East finally got on the board just moments ago on a 1-yard touchdown run by Brendan McGinnis.
Yeah, right now, since the first quarter, the West really, as you said, hasn't moved the ball. In fact, their best offensive weapon has been the punter out of BG, Drew Sanborn, who, as you said, Nick, ripped at least a 75-yarder, which was just, unbelievable to witness something like that.
It was.
It was awesome.
Again, our coverage tonight is brought to you by the Bedford and Nashua Ambulatory Surgical Centers. now offering high-quality imaging. Find out more at baskimaging.com. Third down, Ivan the Great scrambling to his left, nowhere to go. Taken down just past the 21-yard line, maybe a gain of 3. He needed 8. And now a 4th and 5 coming as the East continuing to dominate on the defensive side of the ball, yet they trail on the scoreboard 15-7. But the East offense getting set to come back on the field here following this upcoming punt.
And I don't know, Coach, if that was a design quarterback draw, but it looked like Ivan got those happy feet again and pulled it down maybe a little too quick.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. I was trying to watch routes of the receivers. It didn't seem like they were running vertical, the receivers. It did seem like a design quarterback draw. But if you're receivers and you don't sell that, which I don't think they did, because it did look like a quarterback draw, there was nowhere for Ivan to go.
There is no flag. Timeout, defense.
With another timeout on the field, I think, though, at this point, with over 200 yards rushing, we got to take a look at who's playing up front for the East on the East offensive line, because they're clearly getting the job done, and they certainly got the job done on the first drive of the second half.
Well, meanwhile, the East having some problems with the substitution packages. They just burned another timeout. That's 2 already charged against the East, and head coach Craig Cousins. That can't sit well with the coaching staff, right, Coach?
No, you never want to use your timeouts in that capacity, but again, it's an all-star game, and you expect a little bit of confusion in nights like this.
All right, set now for the punt. Left to right, high snap. Left side, he's going to try and run. He's going to be brought down inside the 15. That's a disaster for the West. Drew Sanborn, who had that booming punt back in the second quarter, did all he could to contain that high snap. Tried to run to his left and was surrounded immediately by blue jerseys. That is almost as good as a turnover there, as it sets up the East in the red zone. 1st and 10 coming up from the West 14.
The East defense came up with big stop after big stop in the first half. Now Team West will really have their first big opportunity to come up with a big defensive stop. But this is a great opportunity for Team East, who has just ran it right down their throat the previous drive.
Just over 6 minutes gone, third quarter. 15-7 the West. The East on the march, right to left, 1st and 10. Handoff Fairweather around the corner at the 10. He's going to scamper in for the touchdown. Rolling to the far side, he went in untouched. Held out the ball in front of him as he crossed the goal line. He's swarmed by his teammates in the back end zone, and the East is now a 2-point conversion away from tying the football game.
Eric Fairweather from his tailback position. They run a basic power play off the right side. Great double team at the point of attack, kicking out the defensive end. Fairweather then bounced to the outside, turned the corner, and there was nothing but green grass in the pylon in front of him.
So a 16-yard touchdown run has brought the East within 2. They're going to go for 2. Snap taken by Fairweather, rolling to his right, throwing into the end zone, caught, and the 2-point conversion is good. A tie game. On the rollout, the receiver, Kevin Moreau out of Campbell, freed himself up, made a diving grab, and the score is even at 15.
Well, one of the more dynamic players in the entire state this past season, Eric Fairweather for the Londonderry Lancers, showing his athletic ability as a quarterback, has made the transition, the running back, look rather easy, and he's showing some good power, Coach, on some of those runs. He's shaking off guys, and then, of course, shows you the quarterback ability with the waggle right there and hitting the guy between the numbers.
Unbelievable versatility. The kid's a quarterback all year. He comes out, he's running the football, like you said, inside and outside the tackles, showing great speed and toughness. Then on a 2-point conversion, you boot him out or you sprint him out, and he finds Wyndham wide receiver Joey Frake, who's got some unbelievable hands. And we got a deadlock football game here. A lot of fun.
Both the East quarterbacks, Fairweather and Wyndham's Brennan McGinnis, have scored in this second half. They're both talking with one another, helmets off, on the near sideline in front of this large, nearly capacity crowd at Craponi Stadium. We've got ourselves a brand new game. Nearly midway through the third quarter, 15 unanswered points scored here in this third quarter by the East. They're going to kick things off right to left. Sear with a line drive effort. It's going to bounce near side. It's going to roll inside the 10 and finally into the end zone and touched back Good play by Mike Bayless to stay away for Team West. So that'll be where Team West starts at the 20. And the offense has been, as we've highlighted, kind of stuck in neutral since about midway through the first quarter.
And they need a big play, Coach, to get that momentum back. Right now it's all on Team East side. Team West is kind of in that, I know it's a tie game, they're kind of in that uh-oh category where they got to get something going here offensively. They can't put their defense back on the field with 3 and out.
All right, onto the field comes Robbie Law of Concord, who went undefeated his junior year to bring the Crimson a title. He's going to hand it off left side, and Perry is going to be stuck in the hole, nowhere to go. Yeah, again, blue jerseys, it's just surrounding the line of scrimmage here. The East has really flown to the ball, right?
Momentum clearly with the blue shirts right now from the East. They motioned right there Josh Perry into the I-back position from his wing-back position. But blue would have nothing to do with it. They stuffed the off-tackle hole to the left side.
Again, Travis Hughes, who was shaken up earlier, the Milford offensive lineman, is again being taken off the field for the West. He is walking off under his own power, but some kind of a nagging injury up front, it seems like there. All right, play ready to resume. Coming up on 8 minutes remaining in this third quarter, 15 apiece. 2nd down and 7 for the West from their own 23-yard line, working left to right. Under center is now Diambo Gabo. No, it's Law. I apologize. Law takes the snap, rolling to the left, under pressure, and is tackled for a sack. Jason Hansen. Was waiting to say that name tonight. The Pinkerton Star able to sniff out the play, and the sack is going to bring up a long third down. Third down, about 16 on the way.
Boy, we felt like we called Hansen's name all day long, right, Rich, at the championship game at UNH this past fall. That kid can flat out play defense.
That's the second big play of the night. Remember, in the first half, he had that great play on third down, on third and short. He came up from his linebacker spot and stuffed them short, forcing them to turn it over on downs, and then makes another big play here. He's an absolute stud, can read the ball very well from the linebacker position.
3rd and 18 officially. The West backed up at their own 12. Left to right, Law on the shotgun. Takes the snap. In trouble. Flushed out far side. Throws on the run. Sliding catch made on the sideline, but well short of the first down. Now they're going to wave it off entirely. Paul Teixeira of Goffstown, I believe they said was out of bounds. And yes, sir, incomplete. So 4th and 18 now. The East with the momentum, about to receive the punt, and they could take, with the next score, their first lead of the night.
3 straight 3-and-outs by the West coming out here in the second half, and a lot of that has been the kicking game of the East, forcing some lousy field position for the West.
And, of course, the East has never won the CHaD game, 0 for 3. Here's the punt. End over end, it flies off the foot of Sanborn. It's going to bounce again near midfield far side, roll out of bounds at officially the 50-yard line.